Her family farm is now overrun with weeds and wilted vines.
It's soft. It's no good. People don't want to buy that.
More than half the crop is dead after Ottawa's wettest July on record, a month beginning with the Canada
Okay, well, welcome everyone. So happy to have you here. My name, of course, is Mayor Nancy Peckford, and I'm pleased to be joined by municipal and county colleagues who have a great degree of insight into this project and some technical expertise that I certainly wouldn't. I want to acknowledge Deputy Mayor, where's our Deputy Mayor, John Barkley, is in the room, and a number of other council colleagues are online, including Councillor Doreen O'Sullivan, Councillor Strachan, and Councillor Debbie Wilson. We also have a number of participants joining by Zoom. I will note that this meeting is being both live streamed and recorded, Ronnie, so that we can share it later. So if you go home after this meeting and others weren't able to join, they will be able to watch online. So we're very cognizant that it's the middle of the summer, lots going on, but we do feel, given the very significant multi-year rehabilitation project that is County Road 43, that it's incumbent upon us, to the best of our ability, to make sure that we give people the best opportunity to learn where we're at in the project, what's happened, and what's to come. So I'll read the land acknowledgement, which I think is on the next page. This is municipal protocol now that we read our land acknowledgement, and then I'll introduce my illustrious colleagues and say just a few opening remarks. So Ronnie, I'll look to you to advance the slide deck if you can. So the municipality of North Grenville acknowledges that the municipality operates on the territory of the Anishinaabe. We recognize all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who now call North Grenville their home. We respect and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship, and we commit to Indigenous informed decision-making to foster the path towards reconciliation. So that's a land acknowledgement that's read before all of our municipally convened meetings. So we're pleased to do it for our public events as well. If you could just advance the slide one more time, Ronnie, thank you. So to my right is Mr. Bill Guy. Bill has been serving as the County Road 43 manager is the right terminology, with the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville for a couple of years, but prior to that was the Director of Public Works at the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. And as Bill looked to retiring out of that position, it was obvious that the very voluminous, heavy degree of engagement he had on the 43 file was such that we certainly didn't want to lose him midstream for the County Road 43 project. So we were very fortunate to have Bill agree to stick around specifically for County Road 43. And it has been of immense benefit, I think, to the counties and municipality and the overall well-being of the project. So thrilled to have Bill. He is one of the primary liaisons for County Road 43 and is really overseeing the contract with Tomlinson and the many other pieces of this very multifaceted project when it comes to the county's jurisdiction. Also joining me, of course, is our Municipal Director of Public Works, Mike Finley. The municipality has jurisdiction over a number of aspects of 43, and Mike is going to remind me if I get anything wrong. All underground works, Mike, lighting, trees, multi-use pathways, anything else? Rest stations and pedestrian crossings. And roundabouts? No, just the pedestrian crossings within the roundabouts. That's right. Okay. So Mike has been with the municipality for how long, Mike? 17. So, and is very well regarded and well respected and has really actually played a very integral role in overseeing the pieces of the project for which we have both jurisdiction and funding obligations. So Mike and Bill have worked incredibly well together, and we're very grateful that, A, they get along, because they get along well, but more to the point that they bring such excellent expertise to such an ambitious undertaking. So before I turn it to Bill and then Mike, I did want to just say a couple of things. This was or is close to a $50 million rehabilitation project. The cost really went from 25 million in 2018 when I began to something far more significant because of inflationary pressures, the need to do a full bridge replacement versus a bridge expansion. I think, Mike, some of our underground costs went up notably in terms of water and sewer. And then just life, we had some land acquisition. We had up to 40 parcels of land, Bill, that we were very close, that we had to acquire from existing landowners, most of which were commercial. So, and there was lots of different engineering and other work undertaken in preparation for the project. So this is a big deal. The project is supported by 4 levels of government. So municipal, county, provincial, and federal. Some of you may recall that we received a grant for just under $10 million. It was a federal provincial investing in Canada's infrastructure program. It was a shared $10 million grant provided jointly by the federal and provincial government. So that offset some of our costs, but the rest of the costs are being borne by the counties and the municipality. And I'm still safe to say it's about $10 million for the municipality, more or less. And the rest is being borne graciously by the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. I will recognize a former mayor in this room. Where are you, Doug? Doug Struthers. He was certainly around the county table for many of these conversations about the urgency of updating what was effectively a failed road for many years. Some early planning had been undertaken back in 2010 to sort of envision what the road would need to be, and it effectively took us 10, 11 years to get there. But I want to thank Doug and other members of County Council who all came on board and unanimously supported the need for a very large investment in Kemptville. It was a necessary investment, I might add, but nonetheless, it was great to have their support. And it is the county's largest road infrastructure project. So it's a big deal. Before I move on, I will say that I think our businesses as well as residents overall have shown a tremendous amount of patience for what is a 3-year road rehabilitation project. We recognize that it has obviously been somewhat disruptive in all sorts of ways. One of the commitments that we were able to make as a team, both counties and municipality, was to do our best to never close County Road 43. And I think effectively we've managed that, except for 2 very important exceptions, which was the closure of the bridge for a short period overnight.
2 weekends.
For 2 weekends. Apart from that, there have been disruptions to roundabouts and County Road 19, and there have been disruptions. But for the most part, we have kept 43 open, which I think is incredibly impressive. And I thank my colleagues for their commitment to making that happen. It wasn't council, it was the ingenuity and the innovative approach of the 2 people beside me and the many behind them that have really helped us to keep traffic flowing, even if it doesn't flow all that well at all times, it still flows. So with that, I'm going to ask Bill to give us a bit of an overview in terms of what's happened, where we are, and where we're headed. And then Mike is going to fill in for us in terms of any of the municipal details that are equally significant to the completion of the project. And then we'd be very happy to hear any comments, respond to any questions, inquiries you have. If you have it on your minds, I bet you 50 residents have it on theirs. So if you ask any questions that might feel obvious, I assure you there likely aren't. And we're here to make sure that we provide the best understanding of where we're at today and where we hope to be in a few months. So Bill, over to you.
Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, all right. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate. Just to start off, I guess I'll kind of give you a little bit of an overview here based on the slide up there. As your mayor said, it is the largest infrastructure project that the county has undertaken, or roadworks anyway, transportation infrastructure it is. Actually, there's a typo here. It's approximately 3 kilometers of County Road 43, not 2. So we're doing a little more than thought there. And the replacement of the bridge wasn't initially anticipated. As the mayor said, it was a rehabilitation on the old bridge, and we were going to add 2 new lanes beside it. But as time passed and the deterioration happening on the old bridge, it dictated we had to tear it down and rebuild a new 4-lane bridge. One of the biggest things about the whole project was improving the safety and accessibility for pedestrians and cyclists, which is something that has been overlooked in transportation for a long time. And even with snow removal and stuff like that, pedestrian facilities and stuff really never got the attention that they required in the cities until about 25 years ago. So it's big. It's big now. We've tried to maintain access to all the businesses and all the homes. There's been a few disruptions here and there where we've had to close them, but never more than a day, and usually they're open at night if it does happen. Most driveways, most entrances, we've been able to do half and half, so most businesses have stayed open. Our communication for the most part with any business where we've had to close the driveway has been good. We've had a few incidents where we have missed it, but for the most part, we've kept things moving pretty good. And the project remains close to its anticipated completion date. We were looking at the end of April, end of May 2027. It looks like we're probably going to go to July. So we're not doing too bad on a 3-year project being a couple of months overdue. And that's mainly because some of the work that we'll have to do will be by the creek. We can't do that until July of 2027 to get that finished up. And the asphalt plants won't open to May, and we'll probably, May of 2027, and we'll probably have to do some paving, a little bit of paving on the east side of the creek, which is the colonnade side of the creek. So can you, oh, and we are on budget, still on budget.
Crucial,
Which is
really
very
crucial.
So it's tight, but we're there.
Bill is an assiduous watcher of all dollars spent on this project, and I assure you, nothing gets spent without his full approval and very, very close oversight. Ronnie, next slide.
So there's just a few shots of what's been going on out there. When we did phase 2 of the bridge, of course, we had to use a couple of cranes. This is putting the girders into place. And there's 3 sets of girders that go across. We have the 2 abutments, which are the ends of the bridge, and there's 2 piers. So there was 3 sets of girders that had to go across there, 5 girders. So it was a fairly extensive project. When we did phase 1, it took us 2 nights to do it. We got phase 2, we had the same crew, we had the same guys, we had the same crane operators. They did it in a night. So it worked out better. So they did get better the more they did it. So this was it. We had to use 2 cranes. 3 we actually had on site just in case. But yeah, it went well. It was good. It was a good project. That was one of the lane closures that we had to do on 43, was to put the girders in. When we did it last year and again this year too, there was no way to safely put those girders in there and have vehicles going through. So we had to close the road for that. But other than that, those are the only closures that we had to do on 43 so far.
Next slide, Ronnie.
This is the bridge deck, which we just poured a couple of weeks ago on phase 2. As you can see there, if you look to the right with the guy in the orange shirt bending down, that's still the sidewalk to go in there, the reinforcing there. The reinforcing steel is for the sidewalk. And there's a strip there with the reinforcing steel. That strip there on the left-hand side of the screen, that ties the 2 bridge decks together. Because when we first put it in, we've have a lot of weight on the first phase of it. So we have asphalt on there, we have sidewalks, we have barrier walls. We don't have that same weight on phase 2 yet, so they don't quite line up. As we get more weight on it, they will. So that strip down there is called a closure strip, and that ties the two together once we're ready to do so.
Bill, will it be a seamless 4 lanes? Will there be any delineation between the two halves of the bridge?
There will be a median. There's
Median.
concrete median.
There will be a
between them,
median
yes,
in
yeah.
the bridge itself.
And actually, the median is in place now. So
Ah.
we already have that constructed. We did that in the first phase.
Okay.
So we put an extra set of girders in on the first phase so we could construct the median. So actually, this side was a little bit smaller too, so.
Hmm.
And then the overhead shot there, I think that must be from Tomlinson's drone, I would
Hmm.
think. Yeah, so that kind of gives you an idea of the bridge that we're operating on now, the half that we're operating now, and that's just with the girder sitting there. The deck hadn't been poured yet on that one too, so that's a pretty good shot of it. It's a good.
Bill, do you want to just explain the exemption you were able to get from the Department of Fisheries?
Oh, yeah, yeah. We had a working in and around a watercourse restriction from the DFO, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. And we had to be out of the watercourse. We weren't allowed to work anywhere near the creek after December the 31st of 2025. So that basically would have shut us down on the bridge for the winter because we couldn't pick up work again under that same restriction until the 1st of July, 2026. So we would have lost 6 months worth of work. So we did contact the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. We did speak to them. We didn't need to get them out on site, but we had a representative of theirs out on site and we managed to, they did give us conditions that we had to abide by. They gave us an extension till March the 15th. And then we had to back off completely from the watercourse. So what we had to do was we had to get the piers in, we had to get the abutments in, we had to get everything holding the deck up so that we could get out of the watercourse. Once we got all of those vertical structures up, it was considered we were out of the watercourse, and we did manage to do that. I think we finished the day before. I think on March 14th is when we finished doing it. So we didn't have to shut down. We were able to go through the winter because once we got clear of the watercourse, we could carry on with the deck work. So we were fortunate and that the Department of Fisheries and Oceans did work with us on this. It doesn't always happen.
Maybe Bill Guy being from Nova Scotia helped, hard to say, right? All right. Ronnie, next slide.
Okay, just an overview at night. I don't think we've got that many streetlights going yet.
Yet.
though. I think this is a conception. Yes, we don't have that many going. Streetlights have been a bit of an adventure, really, to be honest. Dealing with hydro, and we have multiple feeds for the lights. So one feed will take care of the lights in this one section. And I think on this side of the creek, on the Shopper side of the creek, we have 4 feeds. And so we've got, they're all connected, but we don't have all the lights connected to them. And it's a process to go through hydro to get permission, to get an inspection on it, and then to get permissions to hook them up. So piecemeal, we've been getting them in there. And plus with our construction too, when you get down near Anniversary Way, because the road has to, because County Road 43 has to tie into all 4 lanes of the bridge, we couldn't quite finish off that roundabout at Anniversary Way. So there's a little bit of roadway that's out there that's not quite built yet, which also affects the streetlights. There's a couple of streetlights that are out there too. Now, naturally, those 2 streetlights are key to the feed. So we have some streetlights at that end that aren't working because of the missing lights. So, but we're getting there. Bit by bit, they're coming. We're putting the lights in now as we go on the other side of the creek, on the Colonnade side of the creek, on the east side of the creek. So a lot of the light standards are in, and the poles will go up once we're finished more of the road work and things like that. So, and there's less feeds over there too. So we should have those lights going sooner. By next winter, we should have everything on the east side should be working as well. Everything on the west side should be up and running by, I would say, by the fall.
It was one of the questions that we got repeatedly, especially during the winter, naturally, is people were seeing light poles, but no lighting. And for lots of different reasons, as Bill has explained. It was hard to activate those lights as we had hoped and as I'm sure residents would have expected. So I know lots of work has been done to better illuminate 43 this coming fall, and we got some lights on early spring and more to come. But I wouldn't have understood the complexity of the lighting itself. So I know every effort's being made to connect as many lights as possible over the course of the next few months.
Yeah, and which didn't help us. We had Hydro change their process on us twice midstream, and that doesn't help. I mean, dealing with a utility like that. I mean, if you got to call them over your bill, right? The hassle that you go through. Well, yeah, it's no different for us.
Bill, Mike, is there anything you wanted to say on the lighting front? Anything to add? Okay. All right, Ronnie, next slide.
So here's the roundabout at 19. We made a couple of mistakes when we were doing them on the west side of the creek there, especially at Shoppers. So we're always trying to adjust and find a better way of doing things. And I guess we had the Shoppers roundabout closed down for a little bit because we tried to build it from the outside in. That didn't work out too good. So now on 19, we're building it from the inside out, and it seems to be working a lot better. There was a lot of traffic restrictions on County Road 19. We did have access closed to the north side on County Road 19 north of 43 for one day. And we did the same thing south off of 43 for a day. But we did have Tomlinson in, and they worked 48 straight hours to get the road graded and paved so that we could reopen it as a roundabout. So Tomlinson has been really good that way about accommodating too, and helping us with minimizing inconvenience for the residents too. So, but it was a long and involved process out there. I mean, we were there for quite a few weeks, I'm sure, as everybody knows too, but it's a lot of work. And we still got to do the same thing at Colonnade. Now, Colonnade will be the next one. That'll be the next major inconvenience really for anybody. So.
The Colonnade one being, the one that's right in front of
Yeah, the
Colonnade.
roundabout at Colonnade, yeah. But it's a little bit, it should be a little bit quicker because the one thing about Colonnade is we're saving the circle.
Mhm.
We don't have to take the circle out there, so that'll be a little bit quicker. The problem with the Colonnade roundabout was the accesses in and out. You could get into that roundabout. The jogs in the roundabout are basically to slow you down. That's why it does those jigs and jogs in there, and that's to slow you down. And when the Colonnade roundabout was first built, it didn't have it in there. You could enter that roundabout at too high a speed. So we're readjusting the concrete medians on that one to slow you down coming into there, especially coming off the highway. Because I don't know if anybody is like me. It takes me a while to get rid of highway speed once I get off the highway. So, I mean, it's.
And Bill, of course, there's the one in front of Stinson's and Kempville Retirement Living.
Yes.
That is forthcoming.
Yes, that one will be a little bit later in the year. We need more of the bridge to be able to tie into the bridge on that one. We're probably looking at late September, early October. We'll probably be working on that one. We're probably looking at getting the 2 lanes of the bridge open late fall, tying the bridge into everything late fall. So we're probably looking at probably the same time this year as we opened last year, sometime in November.
I should highlight in terms of the roundabout in front of St. Mike's High School, mid-year, in close collaboration with Mike and Bill, we did decide to retain a crossing guard, recognizing cars were getting used to roundabouts, kids are getting used to roundabouts, and that is one of the primary crossings for kids in the community. So we brought in a crossing guard for the 90 minutes in the morning, I think, Mike, and the 90 minutes in the afternoon. And we got lots of great feedback in regards to that crossing guard, and they are being retained for another year as the community adapts to all these roundabouts and kids certainly get to know what they need to do. So it was one of the areas where we were hearing a lot from obviously parents and the school about how to better ensure pedestrian safety. I know when in the early days of this project, before we received the funding, We used to, as a council and staff say, we want to slow people down, not speed them up, make sure they don't go too fast on the 43 to get to Merrickville. We want to keep them in Kempville, Doug. Yes, we understood that this project, given the number of roundabouts, would obviously mean that people would be having to navigate a little more slowly, a little more safely, and also be more cognizant of pedestrian activity on both sides of the road. All right. And Ronnie, you have people in the waiting room. I'm seeing someone who's in the waiting room for Zoom. Okay.
So one thing we have noticed working out there over the last 2 years is that people are getting used to what's going on out there. So there was a lot of confusion going on, but people are getting used to it, and it'll only get better. Like we've left the barrels and things like that out on the west side because we still have to put another lift of asphalt in there and then get the lines down and get these symbols painted before we open it up to the 2 lanes. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And hopefully, we're looking at getting that done very soon. That'll be done in the fall for sure. We're pushing to try and have that done before school opens. So hopefully we can meet that target. So as you've noticed, we've got some landscaping out there on this side of the creek again, too, on the west side of the creek. The intent is to get everything finished, to get all the landscaping in there, which is in there now, most of it. And to get the asphalt in there, to get it fully paved, get all the lane markings in there, get all the symbols in there for the roundabouts, for the pedestrian crossings, et cetera. And we're making good progress towards that too. So that's what we've got here. So the landscaping has gone in. The contractor is responsible for maintaining it. He has a 2-year requirement to maintain the landscaping. So they're responsible for cutting it and replacing any trees that die for 2 years. So
Lots of people have reached out about the grass. So maybe Bill or Mike, we want to talk about why the grass has not yet been mowed in those newly seeded areas. Just mowed.
just,
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you noticed the sharper looking grass? I have not, clearly. Okay, good. But the logic, maybe speak to the logic of letting the grass grow a bit longer.
yeah, there's a couple of reasons, because when we first plant something like that, like as a hydro seed is that we use, and there's multiple grasses that are in that, multiple grass seeds. And some of them grow really fast, but they're not that pretty. And the nice looking grass is a slow grower. So some of the fast grass, like the red fescue and stuff like that too, it shades the better grass. Say, we don't use Kentucky bluegrass, but grass that's like that. I forget what it is that we use out there, but it shades it so it doesn't burn from the heat. So it does kind of look scraggly for a while. And then it's always best too if you can let the grass seed itself before you cut it. But we're not always able to do that too. So we were in no hurry to cut it. It wasn't in our best interest to cut it right away. I know it doesn't look the best, and I know there's people, I've had neighbors that have cut their lawn with scissors. So I know it bothers a lot of people, but there was good logic behind leaving it as long as we did. We didn't want to burn the finer grass. So.
Okay, thanks. Next slide, Ronnie. Great. Yes, and if you read it to me, I'll repeat it so we can hear it in the room.
He just wants to know when things said and done.
Good question. So the question from one of our Zoom participants is, when will everything be set and done? You might be getting there. I don't know if we have more slides, Ronnie. Yep. So maybe Bill, take a quick, maybe you can quickly answer that, and then we'll carry on with the presentation. And
Yeah, for the entire project, we're looking at the end of July in 2027.
all right.
So we should be packed up and moved out of there. That's provided everything goes well.
And speaking of that, looking ahead, what's to come?
Okay, so looking ahead, we do have the final paving and the line painting on the west side of the bridge, the Shopper side of the bridge, St. Mike's. Like I say, we're trying to get that done before school opens. That's the intent, but time's moving fast. With the completion of the remaining landscaping, there's only a little bit left. There was some things that we had to do. We actually, I don't know if any of you noticed or not, but we did have to remove some of the multi-use pathway and it has to be put back in again. So there was some landscaping that couldn't be put in. That'll be put in once the remedial work is completed. So that's pretty much it for this side of the creek. So like I said, the plan is to have the west side of the creek all up and running, at least as far as the Anniversary Way roundabout. Now, I don't know if we're going to put it to 2 lanes yet or not. We're still discussing that. It depends. We might not do that until we open the other 2 lanes of the bridge. So, because it's just, it can be confusing moving it in and out. And I'm sure once we start moving barrels out of there, people don't want to see them come back. Because I know I don't. So looking forward to the next milestones, the biggest inconvenience really for you people will be the construction of the roundabout at Colonnade. We've looked at multiple ways of doing that. And to try and keep access open, going both eastbound and westbound. And we just don't seem to be able to find a way to do that for people that are going eastbound. So you may have to pass the entrance, go to the roundabout at 19, either use the roundabout to come back to the entrance. There will be a westbound or an eastbound entrance will remain open, or go down and go in the other way, go down 19 and go in the other way, Ryan's Well. But that's the only way we can do it. So there will be some inconvenience there for that. And that should probably be the last major interruption, I think, for the traffic. The roundabout at Stinson's, we can build that one relatively easy because we're only looking at traffic in 2 directions. So we don't have to worry about that. And plus it's the businesses. So that one will be a lot. We basically were saving the easiest one for the end. So we should have it figured out by then. And the same thing, the businesses will all remain open. It's just the access. You won't have all the accesses. So, and we just put a sign up there the other day too, because we did put a median in here on the west side of the creek, and we put a sign up. So a lot of the businesses on the south side of County Road 43 between here and the creek, we cut them off with the median, so there's no left-hand turn into their business. We put a sign up to help, but you know, like you have to use the roundabout now. But that was the purpose of the roundabouts in the first place, was to turn this into a 4-lane road, but to eliminate left-hand turn lanes. And that's why we have the roundabouts in there. That's their sole purpose. So everything should be right in, right out. That's so.
And as we move to 4 lanes, as it was explained to me and other members of council, the vulnerability right to a traffic incident and accident obviously increases if you're crossing 2 lanes of traffic. So the calculation around the roundabouts was to try to keep traffic moving safely and to facilitate movement in and out of so many commercial entrances, but in a way where we weren't creating vulnerability or risk for drivers. And it's such a major thoroughfare. The County Road 43, as we know, just doesn't serve local traffic. It's a regional road. It's a county road. And I think, Bill, I know the counts for County Road 43 2 or 3 years ago were minimum 10, 12,000 cars a day. That's only growing. We'll do some new counts in the fall. So the reality is with that high of volume of traffic, the roundabouts are intended to keep people safe, but also to ensure that you can go in and out of those multiple business entrances as smoothly as possible. At one point, we looked at removing one of the roundabouts as a cost-saving measure, and Bill will remember this. And many of the businesses along 43 actually approached the municipality to say, absolutely not. We feel that these roundabouts are value add for us. They're not a deterrent. And we've sort of banked on them being there because it's a little bit easier logistically, operationally, in terms of people coming in and out. So not perfect for everyone, no doubt. I'm sure there are those who don't love roundabouts, but from the perspective of having so many commercial entrances on a fairly short runway when it came to those 2 or 3 kilometers, the roundabouts made the best sense. To Bill's point, certainly on the point of some of the businesses feeling like the median in front of Kentville Family Restaurant in that area is a little bit of a deterrent. The sign was put up to just obviously cue drivers that there's a way to get across. You just got to go up a little bit further and come back down. We have been working with County Road 43 businesses through a quarterly business breakfast meeting and lots of information sharing to do what we can to support them through the municipality and counties working together. We also put in a tax deferral program to support any business who felt that perhaps they were taking a bit of a hit given the protracted nature of the construction. And we've had a little bit of uptake on that. It's not a forgiveness program, it's a deferral program. But, we acknowledge that in a couple of cases, businesses may have felt that they were being impacted, not over the course of a whole year necessarily, but at the height of the construction season. Yeah. Next slide, Ronnie, are we at the end? Sure. So the question is, will there be sidewalks on both sides of County Road 43? On the business side, absolutely. I'm going to refer that to Bill, and I think you saw someone else trying to get into the Zoom room. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Bill, do you want to talk about multi-use pathways, and then we'll go to Mike?
Yep, there will be. I'm sure they're referring to the one probably that we removed.
Right.
Yeah, so they will be put back in. And same thing again, hopefully before school opens. The delay on it right now is that there's a few curb repairs that have to be done in there too. There's some deficient curb. And we've been keeping the curb subcontractor up around 19 right now to try and get all that out of the way and get all the entrances, get the curb in the entrances for the businesses up that way. So they haven't actually got to the deficiencies yet. And now they finished because they had commitments elsewhere. So we're looking to get them back in a couple of weeks to get the deficiencies in and to get those multi-use pathways put back in. On the east side of the creek, yes, there will be multi-use pathways on both sides, at least as far as Colonnade anyway. And then there'll be no multi-use pathway on the north side.
Mike, do you want to add?
Yeah, once we get past 19, it's only on the south side for the multi-use pathway. It will turn into Colonnade, and as well on County Road 19 south all the way to Ryan's Well, there'll be a sidewalk from 43 to Ryan's Well on the west side. So that'll help for people walking in that area as well.
We were really excited by the addition of the County Road 19 sidewalk, which hadn't necessarily been envisioned as part of 43, but we were able to capitalize on the fact that we were doing 43. Obviously, so much traffic going in and out of the Colonnade Shopping Plaza and no real safe way for pedestrians to go up and down County Road 19. And we've got those new apartment buildings behind Giant Tiger, so lots of activities. So having the opportunity to build the sidewalk was, from our perspective as a municipality, really crucial. So we're very happy to see that being built around the same time. Okay, so when will everything be said and done? We're seeing some of the Zoom questions. Is this the last slide, Ronnie, or is there one more? Okay. Right.
These are the key contacts. If you have any questions for anything that's going on out there, even you're curious about something, these are the numbers that you can call. Actually, the bottom one for me is no longer valid. That's my old, that's my former number. But we can get that updated. But yeah, so either through Aegis, who is the project manager that's hired to oversee the quantities and things like that too, out there, or myself or Mike. And I'll get that, I'll get my number in there updated on that too. So I think it's available on the website, my number.
Yep.
So it should be, my current number is available on the website. So if you have any questions, these are the people to call. So we're the movers and the shakers.
Before we go to the questions, from the Zoom room and invite you to ask any questions. Mike, do you want to just speak about the very significant underground works that have been executed on behalf of the municipality? Obviously, anytime you rebuild a road, what I've now learned is that you look underground to see what aging infrastructure is likely in need of repair or replacement. So as the road clearly was being rehabilitated, it became very obvious, I think, to Mike and his team that there was an opportunity to get in there and do some really important work that would serve, residents, not just on the 43 corridor, but throughout Kemptville and beyond for the decades to come. So Mike, maybe just speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So we upgraded the water main along County Road 43, mainly between where
Little echo there, Rob?
Shoppers.
I'm just getting an echo from the Zoom. Okay, try again.
Maybe.
Okay, go ahead.
No problem.
This one, no? Yeah, you got an echo, yeah.
The water main. There we go. That sounds better. So mainly the water main in front of Shoppers. It was a smaller main.
So I got an echo.
There's two things around usually. You don't. They never.
Is it okay now? I think so. Perfect. So the water main in front of the Shoppers area was undersized with the growth that we had, so it was upsized to a 12-inch water main, which is our standard circumferential loop to help support everything there. As well, the sanitary line that was supporting those businesses on the west side or south side of 43, but on the west side of the bridge, it was a little older in a bit of tougher shape, so it was replaced as well, and that was to ensure as well that we didn't, in short period of time, have to dig up the brand new road to try and do any repairs there. So it's all brand new sewer lines there. As well, there's an additional force main crossing at Anniversary Way. Well, the casing was put in so that we can put a future force main in to help support the pump station for the downtown growth. We also did a new force main that's currently under construction on the east side of the bridge, and that's running from our sanitary pump station for the Colonnade or Ryan's Well in County Road 19. And again, it's to accommodate for growth as well. So a lot of growth pieces that were being put in. Of course, anything on the east side of the bridge had to get to the west side to where our treatment plant is. So we had to put everything underneath, hang everything, the existing or the new pipes now, underneath both pieces of the bridge. So there's a water main and a sanitary force main underneath the first section of the bridge that we put in, and there'll be an additional sanitary force main on the new bridge that we're currently constructing. So there's a lot of water and sewer upgrades just to help out for expansion and replacement.
Mike makes it sound so simple, but it was really complicated. And I know Bill and Mike had to work together on the timing of some of those things and how it all came together. So I want to thank Mike and his team for their very careful attention to what was very complex undertaking. We have quite a number of questions from Zoom. So if anyone has an urgent question, we'll get to it, but perhaps I can just run through some of the Zoom questions first, and then we'll go from there. First is, will there be sidewalks installed on the business side to make it safer? We said yes. The area down under the bridge and besides, will it be accessible for fishing, Bill?
Yes, it will. Yep.
Okay, good.
We got a fair bit of work to do down there. And we've got to take a lot of stuff out of there, which is a laydown area that we had to build to construct the bridges. But a lot of that stuff will come out and there will be accessible fishing areas.
Excellent. And I think you can still kayak under the bridge right now, can you not?
You can now that we got the deck on. We didn't like it when we didn't have a deck on, but yeah, you can.
Okay. With respect to the businesses along the stretch you just mentioned, this is from Carolyn White. The removal of the traffic lights at the 4344 junction has meant the traffic flow is so big and continuous that it's difficult to exit any of these. Are there any ideas as to how to improve this? And I think this question might be in regards to exiting the roundabout or exiting the businesses. Maybe Carolyn can clarify for us. Bill, do you understand the question? With respect to the businesses along the stretch you just mentioned, so Kempville Family Restaurant, et cetera, with the removal of the traffic lights at 4344, the traffic flow is so big and continuous, it is difficult to exit any of these, exiting the businesses. So I think the question that Carolyn is asking is about how to make that right-hand turn when you have such a continuous traffic flow coming in and out, or coming along 43 itself. So I don't know if we looked at sort of the breaks between traffic in terms of coming in and out of those businesses. I don't know this fall if you'll be monitoring traffic flows just to see how drivers are coming in and out of those businesses themselves.
I think what he might be talking about here would be like the Centex gas station and stuff that's really close to the roundabout. And the entrances are close, but I mean, the business was there. We tried to, we had to go with the existing entrances. The roundabout is configured that we do slow you down a fair bit. And everything is a right-hand turn coming out, so, and a right-hand turn going in. So there's no left-hand turns coming out of the business. And it can be difficult for sure. Yeah, you can be stuck there for a bit. We've seen it. So, but it will be 2 lanes, yeah. it will
Yes.
be 2,
Yes.
yes, yeah, which will make it a little bit easier.
The deputy mayor was noting with the 2 lanes, there's obviously more breathing room to get in and out. On that point, I know there's someone with their hand up in the back. So before we go back to the Zoom questions, did you want to make a comment? So we have gotten that question before. And so for anyone who's listening by Zoom, we do have a mic. So questions from the room where we're at right now will be mic'd. But for the purposes of the Zoom participants, the question is really about what appears to be a fairly narrow roadway for the 2 lanes due to curbing, et cetera. And I know, Bill, we've gotten a lot of questions online already from previous discussions about is the width of the road with the curbing sufficient for 2 lanes? So if you could speak to that.
Yeah, it is. A lot of it is just perception. The 2 lanes are a standard 3.5 meter wide lane, which is about 12 feet, just over 12 feet wide, each lane. So they are a standard width. The biggest thing is this perception, because at one time 43 was big wide shoulders, ditches. There was nothing in the way. Now we put curbs in there. So, but the lanes are a standard width. So there is plenty of room for 2 vehicles to go in there. And if we made the lanes too wide, the same thing too, like the purpose of all of this, but the roundabouts and everything is to slow traffic down. So making the lanes, giving you the feeling that you're kind of crammed together too, slows you down too. It helps, but you're not. It's just perception.
I think the speed limit, Mike, on County Road 43, or Mike, what, Bill or Mike, what is this expected speed limit? It's 50? Okay, 50 kilometers an hour. So obviously not highway speeds. Right. So the concern from the resident in the room is to stick to your lane and make sure you stay within the lane you're in. Yeah. Okay, we're going to look at another question from Zoom. Bruce is here, so if you have a question, he'll hand you the mic. But in the meantime, we'll answer one of the Zoom questions. Debbie Amarose. Hi, Debbie. So she says, County Road 44 heading south towards the 43-44 roundabout is often being used as 2 lanes when 43 is not yet opened for 2 lanes. I have had several near misses at this roundabout. Is there a reason that there aren't pylons put in place to keep traffic to 1 lane? So Bill, we're speaking of County Road 44 heading south towards the 43-44 roundabout.
There we go. But yeah, we have, there is some issues there. We did keep barrels there for the longest time to help out with that. And we did have the signs bagged so that, because their symbols has to go on the road there too. And the line painting has to go in there to do it. We've done what we can. We could look at possibly putting some barrels back out there again. But I don't know if it's going to help right now. We're so close now to getting the lines painted in there. With the wind and stuff like that, the bags kept coming off the signs. So we have them bagged again, and we're trying to keep people to look at it as 1 lane. Some don't, of course, and it's meant to be 2 lanes going forward. But we'd prefer if people didn't use it as 2 lanes until we get the lane markings down there, and that is coming soon. Hopefully, that's coming well before school opens. So.
Oh, we're going to give you a mic, actually. Oh, okay. So we'll hang on. We'll come back to you. So we'll go to the question in the room. And Debbie, we will answer your second question. We're just going to take a couple from the room. Go ahead.
Mike, thank you very much for having this forum. I really appreciate it. It's the first time that we've sat in here in Kemptville. A couple of questions on the turning lanes, the radiuses. Have all on-road vehicles been looked at, i.e. trucks, all the different widths of trucks that are on the road? Because my concern, can 2 trucks go around the turning radiuses? That's been adhered to?
Bill, do you want to speak to how the roundabouts are designed?
They can, but there's a concrete apron around the circle, and that's the truck apron. That's what it's called. They'll need to use the truck apron, and that's what it's there for. It's not meant to be used as a driving lane, but it is there so that it is extra room for the trucks. That's what it's there for, and for the farm vehicles.
Yeah, just thinking forward, because as Kemptville continues to grow, as will the traffic, as we know, and as will the trucks, the school buses, and it's quite feasible that there will be school buses beside a truck, and just wanting to make sure that that's all been, I'm sure it has, but I'm just, from a layman's perspective, I'm just curious as I go through there. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It does. Like I said before, it's perception. A lot of it's perception. Yeah. I used to work in the city, and they built this new subdivision the one time, and you had a 1 meter, just over 3 foot wide front lawn. And I was sure that road was too narrow. I was positive. So I stopped my truck and I got out and I measured it, and the road wasn't too narrow, but it sure looked narrow.
I understand what you're saying. I have a bit of a background in this too, so I'm a little bit curious. The second thing is, and please forgive my ignorance, when was the initial design for the new Highway 43 completed, signed off, approved by everyone? I'm not familiar with the date. I'm sure it's been talked about.
We never really completed it in its entirety until 2023. Until the fall of 2023, and we went out to tender very shortly after that too.
2023.
So yeah, so it was out for tender over the winter of 2023. So we started work in 2024.
And when was Colonnade, that area, developed?
Mike, do you want to take that?
Colonnade, that started around 2008. that timeline.
I'm just curious, there would have been a redesign required to do that roundabout at Colonnade? You said it needs to be increased in size.
It's a single lane roundabout, so it's being expanded to a double. So
So who has to cover that cost?
County.
They do? That's music to my ears. Well done. I don't have anything more to say. Obviously, you got a good handle on things.
I knew you'd like that answer.
Thank you.
okay, we're going to take a couple of other in-person questions and then we're going to return to the Zoom room. All right, go ahead, Bill. Doug, thank you.
Thank you very much. This is great and great, I'll say preamble, Madam Mayor, to the session tonight and the project and Bill for still being on the job, as it were. Two questions. I'm not sure if I missed it earlier. I'm sorry if I did, but I can't quite see as you're heading into St. Mike's. So you're heading east. Is that going to be a separate single, I think, slip lane, if that's the right terminology? I understand what happens when you're leaving and you want to head east. You go up to the roundabout, which is fine. But you're heading east on 43 and you want to go left into St. Mike's. Is that a separate lane?
Yes, there is one left-hand turn lane into the school. Yeah, through the median, there is, yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you. The other question is not probably, it is, I'll call it operational. When everything's all done and we are in July of 2027 and life is great, we don't have to worry about snow, but we know the snow, the county will plow the road, the sidewalk is the municipality's responsibility, is my understanding. And some of the roundabouts, as already happened with the current ones, people sponsor them, they look after them, plant trees, et cetera, but which is great to have the community involved in that. Who's responsible for mowing the median lawns?
That's still
Not
under
just the doing it, but the paying for it.
That's still under discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike is indicating we endeavor to make it a shared responsibility, Mike. Is that right? So there is an agreement underway that is going back and forth between both sides. There's excellent collaboration between the municipality and the county. So depending on equipment and access and many other considerations, it will get done. So, but it's a new day in the respect that there's so much now on County Road 43 that requires maintenance, whereas before we had fewer things to worry about. So a new agreement between the counties and the municipalities required. So that's currently under discussion. Okay. So, oh yes. So we're going to have one comment.
Talking about a few minutes ago, I was
yeah, go ahead.
From Pine Hill Road up 43 to come here and waiting to merge, and there was two cars waiting to merge. And I'm assuming one's going to turn right and one's going to go around the roundabout, but no, the two of them tried to go around the roundabout. So I think you're right. We need signage or and arrows on the road or something because the two of them tried to go around the roundabout.
That's kind of like that's why we wanted to try and keep it to one lane until we had it basically written out on the road for everybody to follow it. So, yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah. And that's the intent when it's complete.
So Bill and Mike, I'm just going to bring your attention to a couple of the other questions. Debbie had a second safety concern, again, looking at the 4344 roundabout. The pedestrian crossings are so close to the exit, this is Debbie, that it is difficult to see the lights indicating that someone is crossing until you're right there. Also, considering there's a median, I'm wondering why, when the crossing light is activated, the pedestrian walk is activated all the way across 43, and consequently, when pedestrians are crossing as well. Should there be a different activation at the median so that traffic isn't stopped in both directions for that length of time? Hope this makes sense. So I think she's asking questions about how those pedestrian the pedestrian, right, lighting is activated to warn vehicles about the pedestrians crossing. So I presume once you hit that button or they're motion censored, the lights cross for the duration of that roundabout, not just for the, right, that individual lane where the pedestrian is being crossed.
Yeah, that is correct. Initially, we did have it set up as one lane at a time. But no, because it was so new and everybody was getting used to it and stuff like that. We found the more lights that we could have out there flashing, the better it was to draw drivers' attention to it. So we changed the setup on them. So now it does light up across the road. So it doesn't matter what side you're on. And there's also an activator in the median in the middle as well too. And they are motion sensors, but it will light it up all the way across. And that's the way we think we'd like to leave it.
From a visibility perspective.
And a safety one.
And the safety. Can you just speak very briefly, Bill? Debbie notes the pedestrian crossings are so close to the exit that it's difficult to see the lights indicating that someone is crossing. So from a design perspective, I don't know if you've given consideration or if there's a rationale in terms of how the lights are situated, right, vis-a-vis, or the crossings are situated vis-a-vis where the cars have to stop.
Yeah, we did more so for the pedestrians, I guess, than the drivers themselves. But what we've done is, if you've noticed, there's a couple of jogs in the crossings, and it's basically to put the pedestrians facing the direction that the traffic is coming from, because it can only come from one direction, depending on the way that you're crossing, right? And the other thing with it being close to the entrance as well, with the existing buildings, that's one of the things about being a retrofit as compared to a new build. The businesses were there, the entrances were there. We had to try and fit the crossings in as best we could and as safe as possible in the space that we allocated. And if we had to move an entrance, we did, if there was room. In some places, there was not room to do so.
Okay, perfect. And I'm just going to bring your attention to one more Zoom comment, and then we'll go back to the room, and then we'll come back to Zoom. Someone else mentions the truck aprons were slushy last winter, and my school bus would slide off even at a crawl. Hopefully better or more regular maintenance now that there are several. I don't know if you want to speak to how we generally maintain roundabouts in the winter.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, there will be. It'll be better this winter for sure. It was new, excuse me. It was not new to the counties because there was a couple of roundabouts that were already there, but roundabouts of this size and stuff like that. So last year was a bit of a learning curve for the plow operators and stuff, and we had to see too. You know, like we had to learn from it too. So there will be, if required, yeah, we'll clear the truck aprons. We probably will have to do so.
Okay, thanks. Other questions from the room? Yes, go ahead. Hi, James.
Thank you very much, by the way. This is really informative. A couple of basic questions. Will it be a split in the median to serve Stinson, or will you have to go around the median, around the roundabouts?
So question, it's a bit echoey from that mic. The question is the median in front of Stinson's?
Yeah,
Will there
in front
be
of
any?
Stinson's. Will there be an open median there?
Right.
Or will it be, like when you come out of Stinson's, you got to go around a roundabout to get out?
Bill, go ahead.
You'll have to use the roundabout. There'll be a median.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
They're not split there. Second question I was kind of thinking about is, since we were talking about the landscape boulevard, which, you know, 20 years from now, when the trees get some size, it'll be really quite stunning. But have we thought about how to mitigate damage that the salt in the winter will cause for those trees? Will they be able to grow, I guess, is really what the question is.
That was taken into consideration with the types that we used. And then with the grass that we used is like a salt resistant grass and yeah, and the types of trees was kept in mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, you know, the grass and the trees will survive.
Not necessarily. I mean, it is a harsh environment. You've also got exhaust out there too. So it's a harsh environment And so, but no guarantees, but we tried to
That's on it then?
give them the best chance that we could. I mean, we used the best trees that we could. So hopefully it's going to work out okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me the other day, and I knew nothing about this, so I was a bit surprised, that eventually 43 is going to be expanded 4 lanes all the way down to like Precision Drive. Is there any truth to that? I don't imagine there's any plan today, and I don't imagine something that I would see in my lifetime, but, you know, somebody was pretty adamant that that was happening.
That's not on the horizon right now. No. No, probably the next expansion to 43 would probably go the other way.
Go the other way up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Towards the west, towards Merrickville.
Like the Johnson's Road kind of thing, you mean, or?
I don't even think it would go that far, maybe as far as Somerville.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to Somerville already.
At one time, this project, it was first looked at. Yeah. Yeah. But it was basically finances that scaled it back. You know,
Terrific.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
I will note, though, that at Pine Hill, we're making the roundabout improvements. Yeah, exactly. So maybe I'll have Mike speak about it. We have, because of the residential development going towards Somerville, particularly Oxford Village, which has about 400-ish homes to be built in there. We prioritized this year as a municipality, ensuring there were better pedestrian crossings in that roundabout to get people safely onto the pedestrian network on the other side of 43. Mike, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So at the Pine Hill roundabout, we just awarded the contract to put up pedestrian crossings there as well. So similar to what you see on the rest of 43, you'll see at that roundabout as well. So that should help some movement there. As well, we are in the process of just finalizing, looking at the kind of gravel path that's on the north side of 43 that heads up to in between those two developments. We'll do a paved pathway for walking there as well. That would be plowed in the wintertime. So it'll be a full year-round maintenance pathway. So that should help for some of that pedestrian movement.
We've heard lots of comments about people walking along 43 on the shoulder coming from the Oxford Village subdivision. So it was very obvious, I think, to us as a council and to our municipal staff that we needed to ensure there was safe and segregated pedestrian pathways. So that's what Mike is talking about. We will have a year-round pathway that residents can use to exit Oxford Village and come onto the 43 network safely. And that's why the pedestrian crossings are going into the Pine Hill roundabout. But to Bill's point, getting the investment largely by the United Counties into this expansion was a significant undertaking operationally and politically. So we've got to make sure that this one is done and dusted, but our eye is on an expansion up to Somerville Road because of the residential density. So there are good arguments to be made for that expansion. And there is an anticipated roundabout at some point at Somerville, Bill. So that is in play. The timing is still to be determined, but we do expect to have more intersection controls, if you will, at Somerville in the short to midterm. Is that a fair statement? Fair statement. Okay. Correct? Okay. Other questions here before we return to the Zoom room? Okay, go ahead, Derek.
Bill, would you just clarify the timings on the Colonnade roundabout for me? So the plan is to have all the concrete and the first coat of paving done by fall and then the second coat of paving next year?
But we still have to put an apron in there. So we will be undertaking that probably starting next week. And the plan there is to put all the traffic on the south side, on the Colonnade side of the existing roundabout right now. Have 2 lanes of traffic down there and work on the north side. and get that all ready, get it graded and built and ready for curb, and then move to the south side and put the traffic back to the north side. This is a bit of a challenge at Colonnade there, and we have to do some dancing around back and forth. But we figure we got a pretty good plan, and we'll put some good notice out ahead of time. So we're trying to get as much done from the north side as we can, because once we get to the south side, that's where the south side of the existing circle, the Colonnade side of the existing circle. That's good. No, we're not going to do that. No. No.
Other questions from the floor before I return to Zoom? Yep, we got one up in the theater.
I have some concerns about accessibility on the 43. I noticed some of the crosswalks, it's about like in the median in the 43 and the 44 Rideau, it's like 1 or 2 inches curb for people to step on or over. And it can be an issue for someone that has a wheelchair or someone that's blind and may not able to detect there's a curb there, if anybody's seen it before. And then there's also the same runabout. There's no textile to go from one plate to the next plate on the crosswalk. So if someone is blind, we won't be able to find the button. And the traffic that's so loud, they may not be able to hear where the button is.
Bill, do you want to just speak to the accessibility considerations as they exist now for visually impaired and others? Okay, thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah, there is that little bit of a step up now, because there is 2 more inches of asphalt that has to go on there. So there is another lift of asphalt that has to go on the road. So that'll eliminate that lip. I'm not quite sure what you're saying about the tactile strips. So the tactile strips are pretty much in place there.
So we'll just do a follow-up with Vanessa, and then of course you guys can talk offline after the event. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
The crosswalk that's on the 43, it's like a shape of an S. So for someone that's blind, they were not able to find a textile that will follow them to the next button. I noticed that earlier this year.
So the configuration of the crossing area, Bill? Yeah.
I see what you're saying now. Yeah. It does the S shape so that the pedestrians face the traffic is coming. But the S shape of the sidewalk is delineated. There is a groove along the outside edges to indicate that there is a limit to it. So it is marked on both sides of the crosswalk, actually. To get across, the S is marked across through the concrete.
And maybe you guys can carry this conversation forward after so that you can describe to Vanessa and she can delineate any other concerns. Yep.
I had a service dog that would take me to certain areas to find me a post, but she will also detect any where the curb is. Well, that's when I saw that early this year. Well, she passed away a couple years ago, but when I saw that, a guide dog will find any of the curb. So that can be a little confusing,
right?
To trying to find, but yeah. So it may take another few minutes, for them to find them.
So Bill, maybe you can talk to Vanessa after about any particular improvements that could be made given that particular quirk.
Do you want to talk for a few minutes afterwards, Vanessa?
Okay, perfect.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for highlighting that. I know the accessibility considerations have definitely been ongoing, and the lived experience of residents in the community can be really helpful. So appreciate that. So we'll make a final call for anybody in the room. And while I'm doing that, I am just going to acknowledge a number of people have wanted to confirm that sidewalks will be on the community living side. So that's the business side of 43. And again, Bill, you did highlight that owing to some unfortunate deficiencies, the multi-use pathways were removed, but they will be going back in. And could you just remind us of the timing of getting those multi-use pathways back on the business side where they don't exist now?
We're pushing the contractor to have those in before school opens.
Okay. The other thing is, someone highlighted the curvature of the roundabout at Shoppers, which is potentially impeding long vehicles from going around the roundabout. Is that something that you can speak to?
It shouldn't with the truck apron, with the concrete truck apron. Like you're not confined between the curbs in the roundabout. The concrete apron is also a driving surface, mainly for the large trucks.
Okay. Ronnie, can you scroll up just to make sure that we answered all the Zoom questions? I did have one that came in through Facebook that I just wanted to highlight before we wrap up. The concern is the size, the width of the median. So this was asked a lot over the last month when we put that median in, again, in front of Campbell Family Restaurant and other businesses along that quarter. A number of people said, why is the median so wide? So perhaps you can talk to that.
Sure. Part of it is to give the trees the best chance possible to survive. So to make it as wide as we could, it's best for the trees. Try and keep the traffic away from them as much as we can, and the snow. When it's plowed off, of course, it's full of salt. So we went standard lane width and kept the median as wide as we could, going with the standard lane widths.
Another question just coming from Facebook was whether or not a special delineated pedestrian crossing was contemplated for St. Mike's. Obviously, the roundabout there obviously facilitates pedestrian crossings. We've added the crossing guard for this coming year as an additional consideration, but obviously this crossing guard is only there when school opens and when it closes. Can you speak to whether or not, especially when you're in front of a school, additional measures could or in the future be taken to ensure that the delineation of those pedestrian crossings is abundantly clear for drivers beyond what's there now?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't put anything right directly in front of the school because Shoppers was so close to it.
Indeed.
But the pathway coming up from the school leads right to the multi-use pathway.
Right.
We did reconfigure that a little bit, so everything leads there. Once it's all painted up, it's going to make a big difference for sure. It will. Yeah.
Okay. And rumble strips, somebody has asked previously, would something like that to really delineate that you're going into an area where there might be a lot of pedestrian movement, is that something that would be considered by the counties?
That's not something that would be considered. Usually rumble strips is to let you know that you're going off the road. It's to keep you on the road. So it's not one of these things that's used for something like that. It's not an engineering practice for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions then from the room here before we wrap up? Anything else? Go ahead in the back. And we'll take one more from Vanessa. And then anyone else here for questions? No? Okay. So we'll take Vanessa's last comment. I'm going to read the last comment from Zoom, and then we'll wrap up. And you're welcome to come down and chat with us about any aspect of this project if you still have some questions or comments or observations. So go ahead, Vanessa.
I use the 43 a lot, and I just noticed, well, just yesterday, when I was using the 43 on my e-bike, they were cutting grass. And then it could be hazardous for anyone that has two wheels. As you know, cut grass can be dangerous. And I noticed they were blowing off, but I'm just concerned about that one.
So it's when the grass is cut, the grass is sort of in the multi-use pathway or in the roadway, and it creates a potentially slippery environment. Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay. Is that considered how the grass is sort of cut along the area? Or maybe that's my question, Mike.
That's been through the contractors. We can have a chat about that. The other piece of that too is probably because of how long that grass
Right.
was. It probably added more grass than what would normally done when it's cut on a regular basis. That should also be another factor to help make sure it's not on big piles of it or on the mop.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. The last question I'm seeing from Zoom is, and I'm not familiar with it, has Grenville looked into the Windrow program for the end of driveways for snow removal for residents who struggle in the winter? I'm not sure that's a County Road 43 question necessarily, Mike or Bill, or that might be something more generally, but Mike, I'll ask you to respond.
Not in regards to 43, just in general for the municipality, no, we don't have a windrow program. We don't to do those driveways. That's not a service we offer.
Currently?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Ronnie, is there anything else that I need to pay attention to in the Zoom room? I think we've covered all the comments from what I can tell. Okay, perfect. So thank you again for being here this evening. We really appreciate this. As we've discussed, this presentation and all of the dialogue will be available. I want to recognize Jenny, who's here on behalf of our communications team. I want to recognize Ronnie, who supported IT, Bruce Unlow from my office, who helped make sure everything went smoothly this evening and ordered the coffee. So please grab some and cookies on the way out. And of course, once again, want to thank Bill Guy and Mike Finley for their considerable efforts on this project. Again, so much is happening behind the scenes that the level of detail even council has is really pales into comparison to the day-to-day realities that Bill and Mike have to navigate, endure to make sure everything goes smoothly. I know Bruce would like to also bring something to our attention.
Just wanted to say that Bill's phone number has been updated on the screen now. So
Perfect. So screenshot that. That's an important number. That's a direct line into Bill. I don't think he'll guarantee he'll answer right away, but he's pretty good at picking up the phone. So please spread the word. We do hope to have one more 43 session before the end of this year. And if you ever are talking to a business along 43 that says, I've never heard about a business breakfast or I've never been invited to a public engagement session, do have them reach out to me or Bill, and we'll make sure we put them on the list. We've done our best to communicate the information about business breakfasts to all the businesses alongside 43. But as businesses change hands and managers and staff change, sometimes it's difficult to make sure we're getting 100% reach there. So we're really here to do our best to give you as much information as possible. And again, I really want to extend our collective appreciation and gratitude for the patience this community has shown. Now that it's coming together, I think you can see that there's been short-ish pain for really long-term gain. So we're again very, very grateful for all of the patience and understanding that the community has demonstrated. So we'll leave it there, and thank you again for coming this evening.
Right.